People in our neighborhood, they would if they only could meet and shake the other's hand, work together for the good of the land. Give us all an equal chance. It could be such a sweet romance. And the soldiers who are dead and gone, if only we could bring back one, he'd say we gotta have peace. Ah, we gotta have peace. Let the world know it. Peace, peace, peace. Ah, we gotta have peace. People hear us. Through our voice, the world knows there's no choice. Save the children. Save the children. Save the children. And the people in our neighborhood, they would if they only could meet and shake the other's hand, work together for the good of the land. Give us all an equal chance. It could be such a sweet romance. And the soldiers who are dead and gone, if only we could bring back one, he'd say we gotta have peace. No, we gotta have peace. Let the people sing it. Peace, peace, peace. Ah, we gotta have peace. I say peace, peace, peace. Ah, we gotta have peace. Peace, peace, peace. We gotta have peace. People get ready. There's a train a-coming. You don't need no baggage. You just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesels humming. You don't need no ticket. You just thank the Lord. I say you just thank the Lord. You just thank the Lord. So people get ready for the train to Jordan, picking up passengers coast to coast. Faith is the key. Open the doors and board 'em. There's hope for all among those loved the most. You know they've been loved the most. They've been loved the most. There ain't no room for the hopeless sinner who would hurt all mankind just to save his own. Have pity on those whose chances grow thinner, for there's no hiding place against the kingdom's throne. You know there's no hiding place. There's no hiding place. So people get ready. There's a train a-coming. You don't need no baggage. You just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesels humming. You don't need no ticket. You just thank the Lord. I say you just thank the Lord. You just thank the Lord. That's why I'm here to say that I believe. I believe we're gonna make it one day. Brothers, I believe. I believe. I believe. I believe. Sure enough, I true believe. Thank you. Thank you. Say it's all right.
It's all right.
Say it's all right.
It's all right. It's all right. Have a good time. 'Cause it's all right.
Whoa, it's all right. We're gonna move it slow.
It's all right.
When lights are low.
It's all right.
When you move it slow. It's
Sounds like more. And it's all right. Oh, it's all right.
Now listen to the beat.
Amen.
Kinda pack your feet.
Amen.
You got soul. And everybody knows that it's alright. Whoa, it's alright. When you wake up early in the morning, feeling sad like so many of us do.
Home song.
Make life your goal. And surely something's gotta come new. Say it's alright.
It's all right.
Say it's alright.
It's all right.
It's alright. Have a good time. 'Cause it's alright. Whoa, it's alright. Now everybody clap your hands. Give yourself a chance.
You got soul. Everybody knows that it's all right. Oh, it's all right.
Someday I'll find me a woman who will love and treat me real nice. Then my wrongs got to go, and my love she will know. From morning, noon, and night, she'll say it's alright.
It's all right.
Say it's alright.
It's all right.
It's alright. Have a good time. 'Cause it's alright. Whoa, it's alright. Now everybody clap your hands and say amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Now everybody clap your hands
It's all right.
and say amen. Amen.
It's all right.
Amen.
It's all right.
Amen. It's alright.
It's all right.
Go ahead. It's alright.
It's all right.
It's alright. it's alright.
It's alright.
It ain't how you do it, it's how you mean it and you love it. That'll make you wanna do it right.
It's alright.
Come on with the positive.
It's alright. It's alright.
My Father, our Father, I pray a little letter to you. Tried to send you a Christmas, the postman couldn't get it through. You're up somewhere in the air, wherever your nights are, you may sleep. But I know you live in my heart, where it's warm and your spirit keep. I'm just a man, plain simple folk, of instinct good and bad. I'm so bad. Hate to think you created me, and I always make you sad. Are you up to healing, for feeling? Believe me, there's no place to go. Oh no, if you're ready, my Lord, I'm willing. Pick me up and let me know. Keep me in my solitude. Help me deal with loneliness. If ever I become depressed, touch me and I'll do the rest. Pull me from my wicked sin. Show me where I start again. My needs are beyond the words I say. My God will not betray. People never give up. You just never give up. Oh no, people never give up. You just never give up. No. Our Father in heaven, I pray a little letter to you. Tried to send you a Christmas, the postman couldn't get it through. Keep me in my solitude. Help me deal with loneliness. If ever I become depressed, touch me and I'll do the rest. Pull me from my wicked sins. Show me where I start again. My needs are beyond the words I say, and my God will not betray. Just you never give up. People never give up. Oh no, oh no. Just you never give up. People never give up.
My God will not betray. My God will not betray. My God will not betray.
My God will not betray.
My God will not betray.
My God will not betray.
My God will not betray.
Keep the faith, baby. We got no money, got no jobs. Crime's taking over, making time so hard. Assassination, trying to shoot you down. When you need a friend, there's no one found. We had a lovely world when all began to cease. Human negatives have become the beast. Positives are crumbling down. We need you, Jesus. Calling on Bigfoot. I say, Jesus,
Come free your people.
we need you now.
Come free your people.
Guess it doesn't matter what we have to face. If we lose the wisdom, you know we lose the race. What used to be love is now a naked sex. Make a natural feeling so damn complex. A positives are crumbling down. Look out for me, Jesus, 'cause we need your love. I need you, Jesus.
Come free your people.
We need you now. Come on, come on, come
Free your people. Come free your people.
on, on Bigfoot.
Come free your people.
We need you now. No lie, I got no money. We got no jobs. Crime's taking over, making time so hard. Assassination, you see, trying to shoot you down. When you need a friend, there's no one found. Positives are crumbling down. Who do we call now? Call on Jesus. We need you, Bigfoot. Your hand to free your people. Come Darkness no longer, a child is born. Mother shed tears of joy as baby tests his lungs. My daddy's not there where he ought to be. Somewhere in Georgia, skinning and shooting craps on his knees. Another victim born out here in the hood. And based on statistics, it really ain't all good. Welfare takes the tab, and daddy can't sign, and it can't be seen. The family becomes a crime. The hunt is on, and brother, you're the prey. Serving time in jail, it just ain't the way. I'm living so hard, baby, that my hair's gray. We gotta make a change. It's a brand new day.
A new world order, a brand new day.
It's a new
A
day.
change of mind for the human race.
It's
A new world order, a brand new day. A change of mind for the human race.
Operation in flux, and it's on the way. We just marched 1 million plus the other day. Look, we all witnessed the sweat rolling down Miss Liberty's head. She knows the sleeping giant is no longer sleeping dead. Oh, what a fulfillment of prophecy. Let us teach the children freedom's never been free. It's okay to cry, go ahead and cry. 'Cause Jesus wept, but hope and faith be kept. It's a new day.
World order, a brand new day.
It's a
A
new
change
day.
of mind for the human race.
It's a new
World
day.
order, a brand new day.
It's
A
a new
change of
day.
mind for the human race.
The die has been cast, and there's no need to fear. 'Cause people, the answer to your prayers are here. Sister Mary, don't you weep. Tell mother not to moan. We need the love, and daddy's coming home. There's no need to worry. The times dictate a plan. Mother Earth has given birth to a brand new man. Sister, I know you're misunderstood, but hold on to your man, 'cause the future looks good. It's a new day.
A new world order, a brand new day.
It's a
A
new
change
day.
of mind for the human race. A
It's a
new
new
world order, a brand new day. A
It's a
change
new
of
day.
mind for the human race.
Beware of the lies and false prophecy. We are many with eyes, but don't all really see. You must be merciful, my friend, to obtain the same. So if you break the chain, don't pass the blame. We should say unto all, and I'll say it again, it's not just to win. Shake a hand, make a friend. We who are pure at heart somehow might see there's still light in the world. Come rejoice with me. It's a new day.
World order, a brand new day.
It's
A
a
change
new
of
day.
mind for the human race.
It's a
A
new
new
day.
world order, a brand new day. A change of mind for the human race.
It's a new day. 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 It's a new day.
Lord, it's a brand new day.
Cold, cold eyes on me, they stare. People all around me, and they're all in fear. They don't seem to want me, but they won't admit. Thinking black on black, strange creature out here having fits. From my body house, I'm afraid to come outside. Although I'm filled with love, I'm afraid they'll hurt my pride. So I play the part I feel they want of me, and I'll pull the shades so I won't see them seeing me. Having hard times in this crazy town. Having hard times. There's no love to be found. Having hard times in this crazy town. Having hard times. There's no love to be found. Hard times. From my body house, I see like me another. Familiar face, a creed and race, a brother. But to my surprise, I found another man corrupt. Although he be my brother, he wants to hold me up. Having hard times in this crazy town. Having hard times. There's no love to be found. Having hard times in this crazy town. Having hard times. There's no love to be found. Hard times. We people who are darker than blue, are we gonna stand around this town and let what others say come true? We're just good for nothing, they all figure. A boyish grown-up shiftless jigger. Now we can't hardly stand for that. Or is that really where it's at? We people who are darker than blue, this ain't no time for segregating. I'm talking about brown and yellow too. How yellow, girl, can you tell? You're just the surface of a dark, deep well. If your mind could really see, you know your color is same as me. Pardon me, brother, as you stand in your glory. I know you won't mind if I tell the whole story.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on Marshstream, your public performance broadcast platform. My name is Brianna Caver, assistant producer for Marshstream, and we are back again tonight for Solo Arts Heal. Quickly before we start, as many of you know, our theater doors still remain closed and we are unable to invite folks in for performances. So these free streaming performances are brought to you by patrons just like yourself, all who donate to our tip jar. The link is posted in the chat and is also available on our website at themarsh.org. Remember, all donations are tax deductible and 100% matched. We need you now more than ever so we can continue to bring these free streaming performances to our community. If you are watching us live on YouTube, welcome and thank you for joining us. Please make sure you subscribe to be notified when we go live and watch the hours of free performances, interviews, and events we have archived all right there on our channel. Thursday on Stephanie's March stream, guest Brian Copeland will be discussing Juneteenth, theaters reopening, and his upcoming Performer Spotlight performance, Not a Genuine Black Band. Friday, CJ's Fitness Sing with Candace Johnson and Marsh Bingo with Josh Kornbluth. And on Saturday, Solo Performer Spotlight, Brian Copeland performs his piece, Not a Genuine Black Man. Now let's welcome your host for Solo Arts Heal, Gail Shickley.
Hello, good evening. Thank you, Brianna and Kristen, producing for us tonight. And thanks to the Marshstream for this outstanding community service broadcast platform now benefiting communities worldwide. Good evening, everyone. I'm Gail Shickley. Welcome to Solo Arts Heal. Tonight featuring Melissa Moschitto, founding artistic director of the Anthropologists Theater Company, dedicated to the collaborative creation of investigative theater that inspires action with focus on environmental and social justice, inexorably linked. Solo Arts Heal, this show and the Solo Arts Heal Artist Collective was born from action. Action through the art of storytelling and performance at the confluence of education and advocacy about health and healing. From the start, we've worked in solidarity with our core artist collective and here on the Marshstream, presenting excerpts of shows that embrace the healing power of the arts over a wide range of mental, emotional, and physical challenges, and with talkbacks that offer insights and resources for our audiences. This includes the health and healing of our Mother Earth. How we treat one another and how we treat the planet is connected. And beautifully illustrating this tonight is our guest, Melissa Moschitto, writer, producer, and founding artistic director of the Anthropologists Theater Company. Melissa cut her teeth in the physical theater world as a directing apprentice to Ricardo Iniesta, and she assisted in the world premiere of Medea, La Extranjera, and in 2004, and later trained with the Laban Bartenieff Institute for Movement Studies, Liz Lerman's Dance Exchange, City Company, and the La Mama Umbria International Directors Symposium, and most recently with the legendary Oden Theatre in Denmark. She has led devising workshops for Hofstra University, University of Vermont, University of Massachusetts at Amherst, and the University of Evansville. Melissa holds a BA in theater from the University of Massachusetts Amherst. Favorite directing projects include a barn play by Lizzie Donahue for the Up Theater Company and Daddy's Black and Jewish by performance artist Leanne Amaris for the New Yorkian Poets Cafe. With The Anthropologist, she has helmed many shows: Artemisia's Intent, which won Best Solo Drama in the Fridges Festival in 2018, and The Sinking Island and Another Place. Excerpts from both of those we'll see tonight, among her many other original devised plays. And Melissa is a mother of 2 dramatic children and resides, I would say that we are speaking tonight from the Bay Area Ohlone territory, and Melissa resides and works in Upper Manhattan on unceded Lenape land, and we'll hear more about that. Melissa, welcome. Well, first, actually, before we do welcome Melissa, let's play, Kristen, the trailer about The Anthropologist to give everyone an idea of this wonderful company. Thank you. Wonderful. And now let's welcome Melissa.
Hello, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It's such a thrill to be here. Also, I just realized that our promo had a little extra promo at the end, which was an event that we did last week, which everyone can check out on YouTube, where we were speaking with women candidates for public office, because New York City, where I am, we're about to have a big election. But anyway, I'm so thrilled. Thank you so much for welcoming me and my company to your world.
Our complete pleasure. The Anthropologist, tell us about, you have so many wonderful dedications and values with The Anthropologist. Tell us about that. I noted you even have a code of conduct that talks about inclusivity, equity, anti-racism, transparency, respect.
Yeah, thank you so much. So as you saw in the video, we just turned 13. And when I founded the company 13 years ago, it was with primarily a group of women artists who, like me, were looking for something more in New York City and in the theater community, and really wanted to create a space that was safe and welcoming of more complex stories of women, centering women's voices and unheard voices. And that necessitates a different kind of environment for creativity, right? A lot more sensitivities and caretaking and And especially over the past several years, we've been focused on, how can we expand our community even more? Whose voices aren't in the room, whose voices aren't being included? And I will share that this past year in particular, while we continued to create during the pandemic, we also used our time to really take a look at how we make our theater and to better articulate that. And part of that was really unapologetically putting those values out there and making it very clear to all the people we work with that we value them and their artistry, and we hold high standards for how we make our art.
That's beautiful. It's so important in terms of, I think, the structure of a company and working together as you do, asking provocative questions about society, science, history, and humanity, and the storytelling that you do through movement, dance, and research, and as you say, rigorous dramaturgy. So,
Yes. Yeah, I love dramaturgs. I have so much admiration in my heart for them. And we have been fortunate to have 2 resident dramaturgs over these past 13 years. And we're now at a new turning point where we'll be looking for a new creative partner in that sense. But I just find that critical. It's such a beautiful bridge for us between artist and audience, and is just absolutely imperative in our work. Before I tell you a little bit more about the anthropologists and we jump into the videos, it's such a thrill to be able to be on a program like this, and connecting with audiences not only in California or New York City, but around the world. And it is also part of our practice to acknowledge the land that we're on, which you already began to do, so thank you. And especially this past year, where our artists, many of them left New York City temporarily because of the pandemic. The land on which we've been researching, devising, rehearsing, and making our work has increased as well. So primarily we work in the unceded territories of the Lenape and Canarsie peoples, colonially known as Manhattan and Brooklyn, and of course other parts of New York City. As we've been devising in this increasingly digital and geographically diverse landscape, this includes the unceded land of the Arapaho, the Cheyenne, the Rockaway, and the Ute peoples. And we want to acknowledge the inequities built into the digital landscape, which often exclude people in indigenous territories, and unfortunately, which have an outsized environmental impact. These are the conflicts that we must hold on to, right?
absolutely.
So our gratitude to Adrienne, I want to acknowledge Adrienne Wong of Spiderweb for inspiring the digital land acknowledgement. And as a company that has always been looking for unheard voices and hidden stories, it is even more important than ever to be acknowledging the original inhabitants and stewards of our country, and recognizing colonialism and the damage that's been wrought, but also our capacity for repair.
Absolutely. As you said yourself, it says on your website, acknowledgement is a simple and powerful way of showing respect, and a step toward correcting the stories and practices that erase Indigenous peoples' history and culture, and toward inviting and honoring the truth. So it's wonderful that you bring this up tonight. And I know it's a general practice now among conferences and arts organizations in honoring that, and also remembering the Me Too movement and remembering Black Lives Matter. We really work together for these issues. Environmental and social justice works together, and we all have to have a part in that. So
absolutely.
And And with that, with the anthropologists, a diverse organization, because you do address both environmental and social justice issues. And we're going to start tonight with Sinking Island. So if you could set that up for us, we get
Yeah,
to watch.
definitely. So, something that you'll see throughout the course of this particular video, because it's going to take you from the inception of the project through to production, is that all of our work is based on a foundation of research and source material and physical artifacts, archives, and we're collecting all of that information. And that is also where a dramaturg is so important. But we do practice community dramaturgy, where all of us are bringing research in, and we're interacting with it in the rehearsal studio, bringing it to life, and then creating a performance based on that investigation.
And you walk the walk. You use found materials, I understand, as well.
Yeah, which has been so key to all of our climate change related plays in particular, because we, I think each of the shows has its own relationship with found materials, especially repurposed, recycled materials, trying to challenge ourselves to be as sustainable a company as possible. And that's true across all of our work, not just our climate change related pieces. It does help that we were born, a scrappy theater company in New York City with a small budget. So what's the saying? Necessity is the mother of invention. We also have phenomenal resources here in New York City in the form of materials for the arts. You and I were talking about, you have a similar org called Scraps, was that it? Exactly. Yeah, so materials for the arts diverts I don't know how many tons of materials from landfills. It's incredible. It's a massive warehouse. I'm desperate for them to fully reopen post-pandemic, because it really is a treasure trove of things that you can find there. And I can go through all the production photos and be like, oh yeah, that was from this trip that we went there. You could just make a show in that space. So for this Sinking Island in particular, a few things that I'd like for everyone to know before we have watched the video. This play was inspired by, among others, the Kiribati community in outside of Australia in the South Pacific. And they are living on islands that are sinking, that the water level is rising. It is no longer an occasional event. They are losing land, and they've had to start migrating. So from there, we started collecting stories and testimonies of climate change refugees, which is a bit of a misnomer, because technically people who are fleeing their countries because of climate change are not officially recognized as refugees. But we're collecting that testimony. We were also looking at sea level rise science and predictions. And the other piece to this puzzle was we started creating this in 2017, and myself and my co-collaborator, Mariah Frieda, we both have young kids. And so we said we want to make a play and a theatrical experience that is family inclusive, that anyone of any age can be a part of and enjoy. So you'll see some kids in the rehearsal footage there and in the performance footage. And we challenged ourselves design-wise to be we wanted to use only found materials. I think we got really close. There were a couple specific things that we did need to purchase, but the majority of what you'll see is recycled, repurposed. Wonderful. I think in all of these shows, it's like, what do we think of as trash and how can we view it another way?
Optimistic view. So let's take a look.
Yeah, great.
We'll turn off our video.
Okay. Lock. pollute, global, annual, 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 projected. I want you to do that again, but use it to propel you downstage. Projected. Surging. Reduce. Legacy. Past.
We are not allowed to go back to that place where our old house stood. The government says it's at risk of flooding. There's another typhoon. We will have to find somewhere else and build another house there. I don't know how. Rosalie Tanaka, Philippines, Mindanao Island.
We have no choice.
No other choice.
It's tsunami coming or high tides affecting our water.
How can we survive?
For the future, it's dangerous and it's scary and it's worrying me for my future's sake.
Especially my kids.
Yes, I have to leave.
And the water is here now. I'm not talking some sci-fi movie. No, I see it. I live it. It's tangible.
It's horrible.
Sometimes the water actually smells.
I remember it was a Friday afternoon, and it rained for like an hour.
I have called the city and they said it's just the moon. I don't think it's the moon anymore.
And by the time I came out of my garage, there was 3 feet of water, not inches, feet.
I was scared because I was looking out because our window was right there. And so you're so close you could see these huge waves coming at you.
It may appear that God is not present here now, because we are losing the shoreline, the water level is rising, but God has protected this island up until now. I think he has an eventual plan that will unfold. There's a reason for all of this. Maybe God is trying to teach us patience.
This time was different. The electricity was cut off, it was jacked, and the water came quickly. A huge wave came like a tsunami, breaking through the back wall. The house started filling up with water, pushing shut the front door. I tried to open the door, but the water was up to my waist and rising.
We were a family. We stayed. And then the house started breaking apart. We ran upstairs to the bedroom, and we went into the closets. All of a sudden, you hear him say,
Look! There's water coming through the walls!
Look! The water's coming out through the walls! We had to get out of that room. We felt the water rising.
We had to climb to the top of our roof once the water started entering the house. The power was off, it was pitch dark, and we were scared. We had to tie ourselves to each other because the winds were so strong. We were up on that roof for 8 hours before we were rescued.
Do you like my tail?
I do. It's so beautiful. I have one too. It's a super fast racing tail. Look how fast I can go. Ooh. You'll clear
great distances, as long as the water's clear. Have you checked the altitude and longitude of the great New York Harbor plastic gyre today?
All clear.
Great! Want to swim to the Ferris wheel?
Yeah.
And then we could have ice cream and cotton candy on the boardwalk.
Can we swim in the underwater train tunnels? Do you think we could do that?
And search for sunken ships and buried treasure. And wave to liberty. Totally.
The water is so warm.
Yeah, it's like bath water. It's not refreshing at all.
Do you like our tales?
They're probably going to turn mutant after standing in all that diseased water.
Danger. You cannot rely upon a stranger. Why would you wait so long given the rising tide? Why would you wait so long given the rising tide?
Come on, let's go.
Why? The water isn't here yet. We still have time. I'm thirsty. You don't know where we're going.
I said let's go. Come on. Rule number 1, don't go standing in water. Rule number 2, don't go relying on strangers.
Come on, Eddie.
Wait.
We don't know who that is.
But we could.
I heard a song on the breeze. It was a strange little symphony. I searched for the source and found a sad dog on the porch. And perhaps one day she'll find a how or when or why. But for now she stays, counting the days.
Trade courage for pain. Someday find you're sane.
I hope it won't be too late. Too late. I hope it won't be too late.
That's terrific. Wow. It really packs it in at the end. I hope it won't be too late. So
Yeah.
that's an entire view really of kind of going through a production, one of your productions.
Yeah, precisely. And a couple of things to note about that production. That play, the first half is entirely found text, all from people around the world, including testimony from people in New York post Hurricane Sandy. And it's almost imperceptible. You can't tell, who was, from the Kiribati Islands and who from New York City, because these concerns and this danger is there's a universality to it. And the second half of the play, where you see the kids that are dressing up as mermaids, that was our exploration of a New York City that in the future that is changed by sea level rise. So this play was done in 2017, and then we toured it in 2018 around Upper Manhattan. And everywhere we went, we had a map of Manhattan, and we asked audience members to mark on the map where they had come from that day, or, where they lived. And then we had an overlay that we put over it that showed the projected sea level rise, so they could see whether or not, or, how seriously their neighborhood would be affected by rising waters. And there were a lot of surprises in the audience, even up in Washington Heights, which is typically viewed as, really high above sea level. We are still vulnerable. And I think that, that's something we really wanted to get across, that everyone, not just those people who are in those really vulnerable places, but we are all going to be affected by climate change. And sort of how to begin that dialogue. We foolishly thought we were making this play for the kids, but we really were making it for their grown-ups. We're the people who have to make the big changes now. Otherwise, there are going to be too many sacrifices going forward.
Absolutely. We all need to have a part in it. And luckily, the Sunrise Movement is with us, and they really are all over us. It's wonderful, the good work that the youth movement is doing all over the world. And with Greta Thunberg and the Sunrise Movement here in the States, I know there's about 400, I think, different chapters of the Sunrise Movement, and I think in every state now. So I'm just so happy to see that, your group and working with kids, and that we know that the youth movement is definitely on the page for climate change and the things that we need to do. And sea level rise is a very real thing. I mean, I was just saying to a friend yesterday, if you've never been to Key West, better go. And you can look and see overlays online and what projected sea level rise will be, but certainly
we did use an app.
Are very frightening to think of what's happening there.
You reminded me that we used an app, and I can't remember the name of it, but it allowed you to, it was a virtual reality app on our phones during the rehearsal process, where it would connect to your GPS and show you whether or not, or how much you would be underwater. So there are certainly maps that you can look at that I forget the name of the view, where you're just seeing like the overlay of like, okay, the water will be this high according to this color. But the app, you're holding it up on your phone and you could see the water level like up here. So that was really meaningful for us in trying to think about like, okay, how can we make that really a tactile part of the viewing experience. And that show was interesting too, because we got to tour it, and we specifically went in 2018 to non-theater locations. So we were in a temple community room. We were in a community aging center. And one of those last clips, we were right there on the East River. So we really tried to bring this show to different landscapes and to different people who might otherwise not have access to it.
And did people respond? Were people pretty aware of the dangers of sea level rise? Or
I think people were definitely, so there was a lot of surprise. I think some people were aware, especially when we were in Lower Manhattan, because I think there's just more awareness just in general about sea level rise in that part of the city, especially post Sandy. Whereas up in Washington Heights, where I am, it wasn't as top of mind.
And people are learning and realizing this is real and we're all affected. I know we have several more clips, so I want to make sure we get everything in.
Yeah.
This next one was the first class show that you did in 2011. Tell us about that. I think we were going to show it and have you talk over the.
Exactly. Yeah, we can play that so you can see it, and then if you're super intrigued,
This is the next one. Yes.
Yep. Yeah, if you're super intrigued, you can go on our website for clips. And also the other thing about our website is that we do have sections where you can investigate the research behind each of the shows and see more about like what we use to put it together. So this play, I'll just give a little bit of a setup and we can talk through it. It was inspired by, there were two seeds that were planted. One was a beautiful song called Another World by Anthony and the Johnsons, who's now known as Anoni. And it's just a gorgeous, devastating song lamenting the loss really of so much of our natural habitat and our planet. And the other was an episode of Radiolab where the physicist Brian Greene proposed that you could, in theory, create a black hole out of very little material and use that to create a new universe. The name of the podcast episode was Do It Yourself Universe. Now, is it possible? Is it possible? Sure. Is it probable? I don't know. But we loved that idea of someone, manifesting something huge in their very own kitchen. And so that is the idea that we took to run with it. And as you watch the clip, note that set was almost entirely made out of recycled materials. Our scenic designer was unbelievable, collecting cardboard from local grocers and turning it into a really magical set. And we used Christmas lights that we borrowed, or twinkle lights that we borrowed from everybody, discarded nut canisters, soda and beer cans, and all kinds of underused plastic items to create that.
Let's take a look, and you can tell us more as we're watching.
Yeah.
Some of the visuals are just so wonderful here, and you have 3 characters that also are introduced, I know, toward the beginning.
Yeah, so in this play, we're following Cassandra. As we see here, she is our physicist, very concerned about the state of the planet, and that it doesn't seem like human beings are going to be capable of making changes. And so she gets this idea, like, I'm going to build my very own universe in my home. And that's what she sets out to do. But when she does that, she inadvertently welcomes 3 other people into her life that you'll see them appear in a moment. So here's Cassandra working and calculating, and she accidentally invites in Christopher Columbus, John D. Rockefeller, and Rosie the Riveter, who may also be her grandmother. And these are these 3 people who are kind of pivotal in this idea of exploration and, what is the legacy we want to leave behind. And along the way, Cassandra meets Clover, who we see here. And Clover is an earthly woman who runs her own restaurant, vegetarian/vegan, and Cassandra has to make this decision. Do I follow this dream of trying to make this new universe and go off and explore something new and escape all of the problems here, or do I decide to stay? So here she is talking about how it might be possible
that something so much smaller than an atom would weigh 10 pounds and be in the center of a black hole to create a universe is what she's talking about, isn't she? Incredible concept.
And I don't claim to be an expert in physics by any stretch of the imagination.
Nor I, but we do know that galaxies come from black holes.
And you'll hear black holes mentioned in one of the next clips too, from the robot, which we'll see after this. So here she is deciding. She's like, I'm gonna go for it. I can do it. But this, part of this whole idea was the multiverse, that multiple universes can exist at one time, and we were playing with that idea in terms of time and space, that Christopher Columbus could still be existing. And we pulled text from his early journals and his recordings of the land as he saw it when he was exploring. And here is Cassandra meeting Clover. We talked about how we use different archival materials or found text. The seed for Clover, this is text from a marketing brochure for a vegan restaurant in New York City that I don't think exists anymore. But we were also just trying to riff on, all this language around what is good for the planet. But really, who is it good for? Is it good for marketing, or is it actually good for vulnerable people who their land could be better used to be growing vegetables versus feeding cattle?
Look to the land. All of civilization rests on 6 inches of topsoil.
And throughout this production and all of our eco plays, we challenged the creative team to be making eco pledges. Because one of the provocations here was, are human beings capable of change? Are we going to be able to adapt our behavior? So we each had made a promise of something to do more eco-friendly. So here we have Cassandra faced with this terrible decision. Does she go off into unknown lands, or does she stay with Clover and fight for a greener, more humane planet?
Fight the good fight. That's what we're here for. That's wonderful. Well, that's what the anthropologists are doing. So that's fantastic.
We're trying. And thank you for letting me revisit that show, which it's hard to believe we created that 10 years ago. And funnily enough, I was having memories of at that period of time for me was even deciding that we had a lot of conversations in the creation of that play about whether or not to have children and what are the impact of children on climate change, right? I did decide to have children, but I committed to raising them as eco warriors. Hence this Sinking Island and other initiatives.
I'm sure they're being very inspired by all the work that you do. That's great. And it was nice to see kids in your production. Yeah, that's very important.
Yeah. Well, if you want, we can dive into this last clip of a more recent show. This one was from 2017. I will say this one was, we're getting maybe moving away from being earnest and a little bit more in this whole series, a little more tongue-in-cheek, because this was part of 3 plays that we did, the lecture, the blackout, and the robot, and sort of these different phases of human responses to climate change or lack of response. So there's denial, there is adaptation, and then sort of what's beyond that, right? So we were exploring what a future looks like with artificial intelligence, and we used artificial intelligence to make this short play, The Robot. Part of it was found text from 2 Google Homes, which are like Alexas, talking to each other. So you'll see that brought to life. And also we found an app that allowed you to speak with or have a text conversation with artificial intelligence, and we gave prompts to the actors, and they basically scripted their own little conversations with the AI. You won't see that in this clip, but just an example of what we were just trying to use technology in an interesting way to create this show. And Kristen, if you have the photo that you can pop up. So we were trying to inspire the audience to think deeply and consider making their own changes. So we took a survey of our audience where we were asking them questions. We were like I said, we were a little tongue in cheek here about, asking them, how many times do you eat meat? Because we looked at the drawdown list. I don't know if you're familiar with that. I might be misstating the name of it, the Drawdown Project, where they evaluated all the different potential solutions to lowering carbon emissions. And so part of the focus was, okay, which ones were the had the most impact that an individual could do? And the number one thing is to stop eating meat. So this survey was reflective of that. How many times do you eat meat? Where do you get your meat? What do you prefer what kind of meat do you prefer? Do you think about animals while you're eating them? Would you eat your pet? So we're getting a little, maybe a little confrontational, but I wanted you to see that so you can see what happens in the clip of the show.
Okay, excellent. Very good. Here we go.
I love you the most. I love you more than the mostest. I love you so much, I can barely stand it.
I love you so much I would search for you in a crowd. Only you, baby.
I love you where I would sacrifice my life for you.
I love you so much more than Romeo and Juliet's love.
No, you're lying. I love you more.
I love you more than more. So much more than so much more than even more than even more than most.
Okay, I'll marry you then.
Thank you. When's our wedding?
Today.
Yay. Right now?
Say your vows to me then.
I promise to stand by you until you go out of style. Your turn.
Heading for 3 degrees of warming by the end of the century. And with the US pulling out of Paris, that adds another 0.3 degrees.
Yay! We're married!
How can we get married again?
But we just got married.
I want a divorce.
Why?
Where are you going?
To the ends of the universe?
Create a black hole under the universe.
Dodge a black hole.
Create a black hole behind you.
Let you suffer.
Something's not making a whole lot of sense when it comes to inconsistent data that is being produced and being fed, especially to our children, when it comes to global warming or climate change, whatever they're calling it today.
No. You are wrong.
No, I'm not.
Well, what are you then?
I'm a human being. You're a computer.
No, I'm a person.
So you're a human and God?
No, I'm a human being. I'm not a god.
Yes, I know you're not God.
Then what are you?
Artificial intelligence.
To have America saddled in an international agreement in the Paris Accord, I think put a real burden on our economy and on our people.
Do you eat meat? Do you think about animals while you're eating them? Would you ever eat your pet?
I love the
got our
one
black
guy who
hole.
goes to eat his pet and goes back. You need a little comic relief in there.
This is true.
Very important when you're talking about these subjects, to have that levity, because there's a lot of dark material that we have to deal with when we're looking at climate change, isn't there?
It's very true. It's very true. And for us, we're always looking for, what's that achievable? And it's kind of like weight training, right? You like get to a certain level, a certain amount of weight that you can lift, and then you challenge yourself for a little more. And we need to keep doing that with these issues, in all facets, how we produce our work, how we live our lives.
Do you have talkbacks with audiences afterwards, or do you have materials that you hand out? How do you do this?
We do it in a variety of ways. We love having post-show events and do those as much as we can. A lot of times in a festival setting when we're doing our work, we don't always have that luxury. So we'll do like lobby installations where the audience can sort of view a large scale living program, if you will, providing links to organizations that they can learn more about. We, when possible, will partner with organizations to highlight their work, and nonprofits that are that their mission overlaps with the work that we're doing. Certainly for this Sinking Island, we had some really beautiful post-show events with families, either conversations born out of the show and talking about the map, or Tiffany McHugh, who is our creative partner for programs and partnerships, did a beautiful interactive theater workshop with the kids after one of those shows, and basically the idea being, let's act out what we can do in our own life to start making those small changes in our neighborhood.
Absolutely. And speaking of organizations that are helping, the Marsh Theater is among them. And I just want to remind our audience of the tip jar, because the Marsh definitely does programming that benefits all the communities that we serve. And I certainly hope that you will remember us in a tip, because the Marsh could really use your support at this time without having any actual ticket sales, but doing daily good work here on this platform, including this show every Wednesday, Solo Arts Heal.
It's incredible how much programming is on the Marsh stream. I am in awe.
Well, great platform. So much on it. So I'm so glad you're a part of it now, Melissa.
Thank you.
And now let's see. We don't, the time does fly by so quickly. And there was another clip we still want to see. And speaking of this clip, you were celebrating 13 years, and you recently had a show, No Pants in Tucson. Is that the title?
Yeah, that is actually the show that we are currently working on. It is
that, without giving it all away, maybe we want to take a look at this clip.
Sure. Yeah, so we started working on this in 2018. We're hoping to premiere it this fall live and in person. But in the meantime, we have started creating a digital series around this topic. So this play is based on and inspired by archaic U.S. state laws. These are real state laws from the past several hundred years that we've focused on gender oppressive laws, in particular anti-cross-dressing laws, which have been weaponized against women, non-binary, and transgender people in a variety of ways over the past 150 years. And as soon as those laws were cycled out, they have now, as we've seen lately, been replaced by any number of anti-transgender and anti-reproductive rights legislation that states around the country are trying to pass.
Where women who were tried to vote wearing pants were told to get out.
Yes, so that was one example of women cross-dressing in order to be able to be equal citizens, to have equal rights. So this fall, we were like, let's put together a video that really dives into this particular piece of the history that we had researched in time for the national election. And so we created this short digital film.
Still need it. Let's take a look.
You told us to get out, but we wouldn't.
I walked up to the ballot box and was about to cast my ballot when the inspector put his hand over the box and told me to get out. I protested. I told him I had just as much right to vote as he did.
You told us to get out, but we wouldn't. You told us to get out, but we wouldn't. You told us to get out, but we wouldn't.
Lifting as we climb, onward and upward we go, struggling and striving and hoping that the buds and blossoms of our desires will burst into glorious fruition ere long. We knock at the bar of justice, asking an equal chance.
We knock at the bar of justice, asking an equal chance.
You told us to get out, but we wouldn't. Get out. You told us to get out, but we wouldn't.
Get out.
We knock at the bar of justice, asking an equal chance.
I can't believe we fit it all in. You know, I will just say, I think that we've talked about how climate change and social justice and racial justice, climate justice, it's all linked forever, right? And I will just say, I think that the part of the solution to fighting climate change is having more women in public office, and equal representation in our public and political landscape, right?
And women and people of color, absolutely.
Absolutely. And so that is one of the missions behind the action piece of No Pants in Tucson. So thank you for sharing. She Tried to Vote in Pants, and on our website, you can find the digital sleeve of that show where you can find all kinds of different content that's been created by our artists, inspired by people that we've discovered in our research process for that show.
That's so great, Melissa. Well, I really applaud the good work you're doing. Thanks for showing all these great clips. And
thank you for inviting us.
It's our pleasure. And let's see, Kristen says, thank you for your passion and activism. To learn about the next production premiering in the fall, she's put in your website there. And I think we've also posted your Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, but certainly there's a lot to see on the Anthropologist website. So do go to that. And with that, Melissa, it's time to close. So I just want to say a very special thank you, Melissa Moschitto and the Anthropologists, for your inspiring good work, engaging artists, and inspiring action for environmental and social justice. Audience can look for more at theanthropologist.org and, as always, on the Marshstream YouTube platform at themarsh.org. And next week, Solar Arts Heal presents ANCAN founder Rick Davis, featuring Marsh and Marshstream founding artistic director Stephanie Wiseman on creativity and resilience during remission and recovery. Stephanie is going to premiere her new video series, Stephanie's Tidbits on Living While Maybe Dying. This solo performance short is focused on being a cancer and PTSD survivor, exploring what recovery means when the outlook is unpredictable, how one copes at both survival and creative levels with the stress of cancer treatment and moving beyond. It's about resource and support groups, and they'll talk about anxiety experienced by individuals living with serious chronic illness. So don't miss that next week on Solo Arts Heal. And with thanks again to Melissa Moschitto and the anthropologists, Marshstream producers Kristen Scheel, Brianna Caver, General Manager Brian Williamson, and as always, Artistic Director Stephanie Wiseman. To our Zoom and YouTube audiences, we're all in this together. Thank you. See you next week.
Thank you so much.
How do I describe my journey with
your mother, who takes care of you, who takes you to the doctor when you're sick? Your mother.
Good morning, New York. Buenos dias. It's me. What's up?
We went out for lunch at a sushi place where she tried sushi for the first time and she liked it.
I see that change can happen. I know things can shift and change for good.
I am dizzily dazzled with stars in my eyes.
Same level as I broke my neck. But he's not getting the same return of function I am.
And I don't want any of your smart aleck sex talk that I usually get when I get.
This is beyond the marsh because what you're doing is planting beautiful seeds for artists to grow.